Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Wen and I'm the founder and CEO of SushiFit. So this channel's objective is really to document my startup journey, and hopefully this journey can add some value to some of you. I started my business about 4.5 years ago, and with that we connect brands to social media influencers for marketing campaigns. And we started off as one startup, which is a marketplace, and then now we have 4 different businesses that revolves around influencer marketing. Let's not talk about that today because it's about the startup. So why did I start the business? It's a really common question that I get. I mean, I wish I was one of those people who was born into the space and like, okay, I want to be a startup founder when I grow up, but like I didn't. So I didn't have it in me. I always thought like, you know, I was somebody that should just be a worker for someone else. Maybe because my grandparents, when they migrated to Malaysia during the World War II, they knew the suffering of starting a business. They knew what it's like to run a business, and they, you know, for their grandkids, for their kids, they're like, oh, you know, just get a stable job at 9 to 5, don't worry, you know. I guess I didn't take that advice at all. So but growing up, I never had that entrepreneur encouragement from anyone. I always knew like, okay, I just have to grow up and be a banker, or, you know, be something like, you know, like a professional of some sort. So how I really kind of just got into this, okay, so after I graduated into the subprime loan crisis, I started my first job as an investment banker. Long story short, I hated it. It wasn't for me. I was so bored. I guess the values of the banks and I just don't jive, like the people that I hang out with at work as well. Like I feel like we don't have the same kind of values. So I really didn't enjoy myself. And then I moved on to acting, which was the next best thing that I knew. So I was an actress for 2 years, and it was hard because, you know, some days there's jobs, some days there are no jobs, and like you're always just going for castings and you're never knowing whether you got a job. So it was not sustainable, and I had to give that up as well. But blessing in disguise, because after I left that, I went back to do something sort of finance but not banks. So I started working at Cradle, which is a company that gives out grants to startups, and from there I got introduced to the whole tech startup scene in Malaysia, and I got to know about well, that was when, you know, Grab was founded, like the years that I was in Cradle. That was when, you know, Grab was founded. Carlist was founded around that time, so I'm a little bit old. So right about then, you know, I started to realize that there is this whole entire business, you know, around, or people that you know, have passion to build new things, to solve problems, to solve, you know, business issues. And I was so intrigued, and, you know, using technology, it's just everything that ticks my bubble, right? So of course the first year, I mean all I knew was spreadsheets. I didn't know how to code. I didn't know, you know, anything about like websites or anything. I mean, I know what websites are, but I don't speak that language. So fast forward a couple of years, you know, I started learning coding. I started working for different kinds of startups, and then along the journey, some people just kept nudging me and like, oh, you know, I think you should start a startup. You know, I think when, you know, you have what it takes to do it. And like the final straw was actually my investor when he came to visit me, and he said like, Owen, I think you should start a startup. Like whatever you want to do, don't worry. Like I think, you know, I'll fund you. Whatever you want to do, just let me know what you want to do. And so when somebody actually gave me that confidence that I didn't even have it myself, you know, I was like, okay, you know what have I got to lose? Not even my money. So I was like, sure, you know. And then I took that leap, and I never looked back since. It's been 4.5 years. I'm really enjoying my journey. I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much about my team. I'm learning so much about community. I'm learning so much about the business, technology, everything. I'm so happy that I made the decision. And if you are somebody who, you know, feels slightly miserable in your current job, you know, consider running a startup. I think it's even if you fail, okay, a lot of people tend to like ask me like, okay, you know, but I think I'm not ready or whatever. But even if you're not ready, starting and failing, that you know, that learning curve is just massive. So it didn't matter whether you failed or not. Like even today, like for me, I feel like if I failed my startup, it's okay, because the 4.5 years that I've, you know, of knowledge that I've accumulated, the friends that I've made, is just so precious. Like I wouldn't give that up for the world. Like even if the startup fails, I know like the knowledge people can never take away from me. And yeah, I would really encourage people who are watching this and, you know, who's considering starting a startup, like if I can do it, you can do it for sure. Okay, so what really drives me, right? I guess I'm somebody who's very, very competitive to begin with. Like, you know, in school, I always compete to be best. Like, you know, I would, like, anything that you set me up to do, I would finish it. Like, for example, like in the last 2 years, I've been running half marathons. Like, I didn't prepare for it. Like, I never ran more than an hour in my life before any of these marathons that I've done. I still don't, and it's really bad for my knees, I know. But like, when I set myself to accomplish, I'm going to just finish it, because that's like that character in me. Like, I just got to finish it. So that is something that, you know, one, I'm competitive, and two is like, somebody really just pressed that button on me. Like, I had a boyfriend then, and I was about 27, 28, and he just kind of told me like, I'm good for nothing, I'm easy, I'm worth nothing, I'm spoiled, I'm using my you know, flirting around, and like, you know, I was just not taking my life seriously. And I was like, how dare you? Like, I started my work at 24. I started as a banker. I was miserable. I was just trying to find my journey, and he's like, oh, those excuses. I hate him so much for what he did to me. Like, today we're friends, but I hated him so much because he just killed me. Every single, you know, every single hope that I had was just dead. And I took 2 years to, like, you know, recover from that pain that he put me through. But you know, that proving him wrong was kind of like what fueled me the first year or two, actually. Like, you know, the fact that he said I was not good enough, the fact that he said I couldn't, you know, amount to nothing. I mean, nobody deserves to tell you that, and if anybody tells you that, slap them in the face, okay? I regret not doing that. But in a way, like, because I'm so competitive, like the fact that he said that really fueled me to, like, you know, in anger, to just do it, right? But I met him about 2 years ago, and he's actually one of the founders I really respect, and because he's a mentor and he said that to me, it really tore me into pieces, like really made me feel like I was really worth nothing. But long story short, like, we're friends today, and like when I saw him, and like, it's like that pain just disappeared. Like, I cried so much that day. Like, we reconciled and we became friends, but like, the ability to just release myself from that pain, and thereafter, my drive for running the business is not revolving around him anymore. Like, I no longer run my business based on that need to prove him wrong, but like, I moved on to, you know, my current fuel is my team. Like, the fact that I have to be accountable to my team, I have to be responsible. Like, you know, these people are counting on me to make it work. These people are, you know, some of them really spend like 4 years of their lives with me. Like, you know, I can't let them down. So like, today I'm a very different leader than I was 3 years ago, because I feel like I'm coming from a very wholesome kind of a more empathy, a lot more accountability kind of a stance. So like, today I'm, you know, I always think about my team. 90% of my time I spend coaching my team. You know, I'm always you know, concerned about the culture of the company. What values do we have? What values do we want to instill in our company? Like, these are the things that I really care about today, as opposed to, like, you know, 3 years ago when I started and I was just like trying to just win the game. So of course, I mean, I was also, like, before I started, I was working in various different startups. I was really happy doing that. I was just happy that I, you know, could be part of another company that's solving some world problem. I didn't need to start on my own. But I guess there are key differences. Like, first thing is that level, that burden that I feel today for my team, for the business, putting food on the table, you know, the revenue. Like, these are things that are heavy on my shoulders, things that I never felt before when I was working for someone else. And while I was, you know, like, sort of founding members of certain startups, I was always like questioning my founders, like, oh, why did you do that? Like, I would have done that if I were you. Like, oh, he was so stupid for doing something like that. But on hindsight today, when I look back, I'm like, okay, now I get why he did that. Now I get it. Because you know what? The amount of things that we have to think about as founders is so different from the, you know, from just our role, but also, you know, what are the stakes? What are the different people that is going to be affected by this? Who are the rest of the stakeholders? And so when I have to look at it from a very wholesome, a very holistic way, I start to understand like why certain founders, you know, did the way they did before. And like today, I'm just really thankful I had that experience. So if you are not sure if you want to be a startup founder, go and join somebody else, just because I think that being able to reflect on what they did or what they would have done has really helped me a lot with my business as well. Because today I'm able to say, like, sometimes when I get lost, I'll just think of the startup that I used to work in and like, okay, what would he have done, you know, and I'll be like, okay, so would I be happy as an employee if he did that to me? And that's my way of reflecting. And so I'm really grateful for that experience as well. But having said that, I mean, if you are already ready or you feel like you want to take that leap to be a founder, I think you should, because that learning curve is just something that you can never find somewhere else. That, you know, being thrown into the deep, you know, if that risk is, you know, if that risk appetite is something you want, I think you should give it a shot. Like a lot of people ask me what are my biggest regrets. I think my biggest regret is not being able to spend quality time with my family. And I think it's because I've been so focused on the startup that, you know what, I haven't been dating for 4 years, and like that's the longest I've ever not dated for. And like okay, back to the family, right? It's like I'm always there, but I'm not there. So like I feel like I'm always with my family where we go on holidays together, but I'm always on my phone checking my team, checking the work, you know, making sure things are moving, talking to my clients. Like I'm there, but I'm never there. So I feel like, you know, my niece and my sister recently migrated to Sweden, and I feel like it's one of those things like I wish I took it slightly easier. I wish I enjoyed my journey a lot more and I was less intense, less worrying. Like I feel like I worried a lot. And this is gonna bring me to the next point, which is, you know, what's on my mind, what's in my head right now. I think the most important thing for me is like I really reprioritize. Like a lot of VCs would tell you, like, you know, you just need to care about your startup. Like I don't care whatever it takes. Like you're gonna have to make sure that your startup gets to hit the milestone or whatever. Like I'm just really grateful I have one angel investor and no VCs, just because I think like my health it has deteriorated so much in the last 4 years that if I had a VC and the VC is not empathetic of my health conditions, it will just, you know, I don't think it's gonna work. So to give you the gist of it, like the first year when I started my business, I was really intense. I was running on high adrenaline. Like I was, you know, doing a lot of stuff. Like it's you know, I'm really intense that way. And you know, I didn't get my period for 6 months. Like I wasn't menstruating for 6 months, and you know, it's a little bit too much information, but you know, I'm all about transparency. And in the second year, like, you know, everything else kind of regulated and that's fine. And then I had severe bruxism, and that means when I'm sleeping, I'm grinding my teeth to sleep every night. And like at some point, like I went to see like a maxillofacial doctor, and he's like, okay, you sprained your jaw really bad. And then he gave me some drugs, like, you know, some antidepressant sort of drugs to just try to calm me down. I felt like a zombie for a couple of days. I just felt like I cannot do this. If I have to live with this medication, I can't work because I can't focus. So I stopped that, and I opted for Botox. So they Botox my masseter muscles so that, you know, I don't have the strength to grind my teeth. And you know, I also had to go through a lot of other things. Like I had to get a mouth guard done. I had to remove my wisdom tooth. I had to do so many things just to fix the bruxism in my face, and that took like a couple months, right, of pain. The procedure I can manage, but the pain I cannot. The third year, I had severe back pain. I had to go to a chiropractor every 3 weeks. And like they had an x-ray done, like, you know, they have to crack my back every like 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I need to start working out. So before this, I was working in Singapore before my startup, I was working in Singapore, and I used to work out every single day. Like I would go to hit the gym twice a day. But like ever since I started my startup, and also moving back to Malaysia and not being able to be as mobile and like not being able to go to the gym as often, like I kind of like lost a lot of my mobility, and like, you know, I'm not stretching as much anymore. And so when that happened, like I was in so much pain. Like I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't lie down. Like I was just in constant pain all the time. And that has kind of gone away for a little bit, but it just got worse. Like the last 6 months, I had severe asthma attack. It's stress-induced asthma, which means like I'm having this postnasal drips down, and I have really thick phlegm for 6 months. Like I tried to check with the doctor if I have tuberculosis. I tried to check if I have pneumonia. I tried to check if I have like flu. Like I was even hospitalized for 6 days just so that I could get like antibiotics, like IV drip antibiotics into my body, but I just didn't recover. I'm still sick, but today I'm already recovering quite a fair bit, which is why I'm doing this video, because I want to reflect and I want to document my life and look at it and, you know, see for myself how intense this has been, and be able to tell myself 5 years or 10 years from now, like, you know, or maybe even watch it next week and say like, when you gotta relax. So my health has really taken a toll, and like a lot of VCs or whatever, they will be like, oh yeah, she doesn't have the stamina to run. You know what, who cares? Screw you. This is my journey. I've been alive for the last 4 years. I'm gonna survive this, and I'm going to win. It's just that I'm not gonna win at your timeline. I'm not going to win with you by my side, but that's okay. So what I want to say is that our health is very important, and like we should really focus on that. Like I'm just really grateful that, you know, this MCO happened. I know a lot of people are like cursing away because, you know, business cannot move, and like they don't know what's gonna happen, like my voice is cracking. But okay, so I'm really grateful for the MCO because I'm able to sit back, relax, you know, take a step back, spend some time with my mom. You know, I've done a lot of stuff in the house with my mother, you know, gardening, baking, and, you know, I've also, you know, taken a step back to create some content like these, you know, just so that I can, you know, think a little bit more about myself, reflect a little bit more about my life. And I think this is such a necessary break for me, and I'm really grateful for that. And like I would like to say, like anybody else who wants to start a startup, really try to prioritize your life and try to manage the stress. Like I kind of confused myself between stress and happiness, because I was really happy. I was achieving in life. I was moving fast. I was working. I was accomplishing. I was, you know, our startup was winning awards. I was just happy, but I didn't even know I was stressed out. Like, I don't even know what it means to be stressed out anymore, because I thought stress is like when I'm depressed, I'm unhappy, you know, but that's not true. Like, I'm stressed because, and I know this now because I'm gonna have to wrap up soon because my voice is like really gone, but like, I realize that stress is when I'm lying down and I'm still thinking about work and I'm not sleeping, and like I'll be able to wake up in the middle of the night to write notes about like what I just thought about. That's how little I sleep, because when I'm sleeping, I'm just really light sleeping, and that's really not good. Like, the startup is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So manage the stress and enjoy the journey. I hope this helped anyone. If it has, just, you know, subscribe and like and leave me a comment and tell me about your journey, and let's make friends. Bye.